Hello, and welcome back to The Culture Shift with Jeroslyn Jovan. Our podcast aims at inspiring the leaders of tomorrow, brought to you by Black Enterprise. Here, we'd like to review the success stories of today's tastemakers to encourage those who dare to dream big. Today, we're going inside Apple TV Plus's new limited drama series, The Big Cigar. It tells the story of Huey P. Newton's escape from the FBI to Cuba by way of a fake Hollywood film production. The role of Newton's father, Walter Newton, is played by an iconic actor whose legacy in film, television, and Broadway dates back more than 60 years. From the original A Raisin in the Sun to Cooley High, A Different World, The Inkwell, House of Lies, the list goes on. Please join me in welcoming the iconic, the legendary, Glynn Turman. How are you?
I'm well, Jocelyn. How are you?
I just have to say, I'm so honored. One of my best friends, she's gonna be so proud of me. I am literally one of your biggest fans. I'm not even gonna lie. I literally am. I talk about you all the time. She makes fun of me because I'm every time if I like watch something, I'm like, and she told me to watch it. I'm like, you didn't tell me Glynn Turman was in it. I would have watched it yesterday.
Thank you. That's nice.
So such an honor. But we're here ahead of the premiere of Apple TV's The Big Cigar. The limited drama series. It tells us the story of Huey P. Newton's escape from the FBI to Cuba under the guise of like a fake Hollywood movie production. So intriguing. You portray Newton's father, Walter. I would like to know first, what was this role like for you? And what does Walter add to this story?
Well, it was a wonderful opportunity, first of all, to work with a dear friend of mine. Well, two actually, Janine Barros, and once again, my son, Don Cheadle, we hadn't worked together since the House of Lies. So that was a great reunion. We had a wonderful time. It was a fantastic production. Janine Barros, she was at the show running position, and once again, she did a great job. We worked together when we did Claws, which was another show of hers. And she's a neighbor right around the corner, to tell you the truth. And so we always have a great time. And so then to have a piece come about a time in my life when I was a young man and out there, marching and protesting and doing what all of the young people are doing now, Black Lives Matter and so on and so forth. It was a nostalgic piece for me because I remember all of that, and I had been a part of so much of that, and knew so many of the characters, Richard Pryor, and Bobby Seale. We were all cohorts, and so it was a wonderful time chance to re-explore that part of my life, of course, from an older position, the position of reason and the position of responsibility, of which we had none at that time when we were younger. We threw all caution to the wind, but that's how that goes. So it was a wonderful experience.
Beautiful. So considering everything we know about, the Black Panther Party leader, why do you think this was an important part of Newton's story to tell?
Oh, I don't know. I think what's important is to keep the Newton mystique, the Newton message, the Newton chutzpah in the forefront, where so much of that is needed, where the young people need to know that bold steps can be and should be taken, and that in spite of what the establishment says, that we have a right to voice your opinion and to go up against the odds, and that you young people deserve that space in this time in your life, and that those of us who are now older and of reason should not damper those efforts, should not make light of those emotions and that courage that you possess. And this was a man of courage, Huey P. Newton, and a movement of courage, the Black Panther movement, and a movement that caught great criticism to the point of it being life and death, but stepped in the face of all of that and said, hey, we're moving forward, we're moving on. And that the leader of this had a charismatic life. Some of this is fictional, some of it is not, but it is all based on an actual individual and a time that did exist, and it should not be forgotten.
Most definitely. I mean, when we look back at your more than 60 years on Broadway and in Hollywood, what do projects that yeah, it's an honor. I was even like looking at your pictures. I was like, oh my gosh, like looking at pictures of you as a little boy with Sidney Poitier and Ruby Dee. Oh my gosh, that how legendary and iconic, but we'll get into that, just even like some of your roles, but like when you look at projects like the Big Cigar, uh what does that say about how far the industry has come when it comes to representation and telling diverse stories?
Well, the industry, no doubt, has come a long way. The fact that Miss Burroughs is behind the scenes and a part of telling the story and running the show, and that my friend Don has directed and executive produced this, and that the media's, Apple TV Plus, I believe, has taken on releasing this story to 100 countries all around the world. Uh, those are gigantic steps.
Yeah.
You must remember that there were no such medias around in back in the day when this was actually happening. There were only 3 channels, and it was hard pressed because of the way these channels were financed through commercials and so on and so forth, that they could tell stories like this. So you weren't going to get this story in any form, hardly, and certainly not one of light that shows this man anywhere near a heroic figure. So this is very important, and there's a giant step, and everyone a part of it is to be commended.
Yes, yes. So, like I touched lightly on just, your iconic roles. You have a long list of them. And I'm just wondering, looking at, your latest role, your current role as Walter, Huey P. Newton's father in The Big Cigar, how does that measure up to your long history of projects that, highlight important aspects of Black history and Black culture? It's just always been in your DNA, and, I don't think there's any project you have under your belt where it's like a slight at all to representing us. You've done it so well. So how does this now add to that legacy?
Well, that's kind of you to say. I hope I hope that that's the case. I hope any of those others are buried somewhere deep.
The Blaxploitation ones, no, those are iconic. Those ain't going nowhere.
But for the most part, yes, I've been and consider myself lucky, blessed, and fortunate to have been a part of some wonderful storytelling that represent us as a people well. And this hopefully does the same thing, in presenting this iconic figure, this historic figure. And for me to be a part of that story, if I can bring any gravitas to it with my presence and minimal talent, then great.
Nothing is minimal about Glynn Turman. And what would you say would be our main takeaway? Our main takeaway from The Big Cigar after we watch the 6 episodes, what would we say to ourselves?
Well, I don't know. Because you got to remember, I haven't seen it, and I haven't read all of it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. But what I would hope that you would take away is what I said earlier: is that courage is a very important part of the dynamic of an individual, and that you nurture your courage and don't get sidetracked because there are a lot of breadcrumbs leading you down the round trail, easy to pick up, you know. So it's kind of a matter of keeping your eye on the prize. I hope that
Yes,
comes.
most definitely. Just my last question. What do you want and what would you hope that we will remember most about your legacy and contributions to film and television?
I think kind of what you said a little earlier, that I tried to lend, I started in an iconic production of a play called A Raisin in the Sun on Broadway with some iconic figures who led the way for and raised the bar so high that I dare not try to do anything but keep that bar as high as possible and continue to try and raise it as I was taught. And so I would hope that my legacy would be that I continued the baton in the correct direction.
You did. And I'm so honored to have spoken to you. I never thought this day would come. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to everyone seeing the Big Cigar and we can all share it together. And like you said, just take heed of that message of courage and believe,
Oh,
because it's, history will always continue to repeat itself, and we can see now more than ever, and it'll probably continue, that we always need to continue that act of courage in our community and culture and keep our stories amplified.
you're wonderful. Thank you. You're a shameless flatterer, but don't stop. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Glynn Turman.
Bye-bye, dear.